One of the most memorable parts of this play was when Sheldon talks about how he saw a lynching when he was a little boy. He was so affected by what he had saw, and I really think it did change him for the better. This shows how firsthand experiences can affect how you make future decisions and how you view life in general. I also thought that when John spoke to Willetta about how he didn't want to be an Uncle Tom was pretty inspiring. John wasn't okay with being anything short of himself. He didn't want to have to please other people just to get their attention or approval. John wants to be able to be the real him. He didn't want discrimination and approval to stand in his way, but in reality, it did. In a perfect world, John would be able to do what he wants and say what he believed in without being judged. In the course of the play, I think John stays true to who he is. I think the difficult part for him was when Willetta tried to be his mother, when in reality he wanted to do his own thing. I think that as the play goes on, he becomes more mature in his thoughts, but I don't think that he changed his views as the play went on. If anything, he was more willing to show his true self rather than hide behind the social norms of that time period. Trouble in Mind resists the stereotypes of African Americans and others. I think a perfect example of that is shown when John says that he doesn't want to be an Uncle Tom. During that time period, most African Americans were willing to fit into that role so that they would be accepted by society. To this day, I still believe that so many people are quick to believe that minorities would do anything to please the whites, but that's proven to be not true. I think stereotypes of African Americans still exist today. For example, the blacks can't swim is a widely used stereotype, despite not being true. Another African American stereotype is the idea that African Americans love their watermelon. Whenever I go to a barbecue, there's always a comment about how the African Americans enjoy the watermelon, when in reality most people do, including me.